Hi, this is Adriel Osuna, and I will be presenting the case analysis for corporate governance at Martha Stewart Living Omnimedia. Okay, so let's go and hop into this. The first slide, strategic profile and case analysis purpose. So this is the introduction, and I'll provide a little bit of an overview of the case analysis that I've been reviewing and proposed for you today. So Martha Stewart Living Omnimedia, which I'll be abbreviating as just MSO for short, was formed in 1997. This was the business that Martha Stewart had put together herself based on prior experience and prior segmentation into the market. She had incredibly strong control over MSO. Not only was she the CEO of the company, she was also the personality, so the spokesperson, you could say, and everything from her personality played a role in this business. So her cooking and her housing and her lifestyle, those are the three main segments that they took, or I should say that she implemented into MSO. So you can see a lot of MSO is driven based off her actions and her personality herself. In accordance with that, she's the CEO, so she has the final say for any type of operations management, any type of major shift for the business. She has that final say. So MSO, Martha Stewart Living Omnimedia, is really based off of that one individual being Martha Stewart. And of course, a very famous indictment of Martha Stewart occurred, which led to a huge controversy for MSO. It really put the business in a bit of a slump, which we'll be taking a deeper dive into over the next few slides here. And the future of MSO, it can be saved. They took some action to get MSO back on track. They've hit a few speed bumps on the way, and I'm talking after the indictment. They hit a few speed bumps on the way. Just clearing that image of indictment, troublemaker off of the brand is difficult to do. But I believe there is a future of MSO and a proper way to do it with the right strategy that we'll take a look at the end of this presentation. Okay, so the situation analysis for external. So these are some external factors. The first one being technological. MSO was late to adopt to the internet. They built their foundation on publishing magazines and television shows and cookbooks. That was their bread and butter, no pun intended. But they were late to adopt to the internet. Websites took a direct impact. They looked at what MSO was doing in these other forms of media with their physical media, and they said, we could do that online, and that's what they did. Three famous websites developed based off of what it can be hypothesized that they based their structure off of what Martha Stewart had incorporated with physical media. Those three websites being the Knot.com, which focused on weddings, the Nest.com focused on newlyweds, and the Bump.com, which focused on expectant parents. And those three segments, that's a target audience that Martha Stewart was pursuing. So their late adaptation to the internet, was a factor that is going to play a role. A demographic factor. So MSL held 62% of revenue in their physical publishing. And so what I mean by that, out of all their different products that they offered, and we'll talk about all the products they do offer, out of all of them, 62% was focused on their publishing, physical publishing. So talking about things like their cookbooks, their magazines, Martha Stewart, all her other types of lifestyle books and magazines. That was where they were really focusing on, and that was their demographic. And so in 1997, that is when, we already said that's when MSO was founded, but that's also when Martha Stewart cut her ties with her previous partner, which was Time Incorporated. And at that time, Time Incorporated said, okay, well, if you're going to cut ties with us, we can get on in this game too. We don't necessarily need you. And that's when we launched a magazine called Real Simple, and that was targeted toward a younger audience, and that was an untapped market for MSO. Up until this point, MSO was really focusing on, those middle-aged women, those women who are getting married, more serious in their lifestyle, more committed. And then, Time Incorporated took that model, incorporated into, a younger audience with this Real Simple magazine. And that took a hit on MSO as well. Economic factors, there really weren't any true economy factors that affected MSO prior to 2008. We'll talk about some other obvious years before 2008 that did affect their financial burdens, but the economy was not one. The economy was strong, it was booming, it was good up until 2008, and of course that recession of 2008 took a hit on a lot of different businesses, including, most importantly, the luxuries of life, being magazines and cookbooks, and spending all that extra money on these lavish lifestyles. That wasn't really in anybody's agenda when they're suffering from this recession that occurred in 2008. A couple more external factors, of course, political and legal. This is where Martha Stewart's most famous might be most famous for now. This started back in 2002. That's when the media first reported on Stewart's involvement with insider trading, and it was not with her own business. It was with another business that she had stocks in. But insider trading, huge no-no, especially for somebody as famous as Martha Stewart and with so much responsibility that she carried on her shoulders with MSO. So that was in 2002. So media lets that news out. Her customers, her consumers, the buyers of her products are starting to see this. That's going to hurt Martha Stewart's image, which in turn hurts MSO's image. So that started in 2002. 2003, boom, she's indicted. The facts come out. She lied about her insider trading involvement. So she's indicted now. So that's where the snowball really starts to take off. And then in 2004, that's it, the final say. She's convicted. She's forced to resign as the CEO and chairman of MSO. On top of that, she's sentenced to 5 months in prison. Granted, somebody like Martha Stewart, minimally secure prison, but nonetheless prison, and that's what's on the headlines. That's what people see in the newspapers. Is these women are seeing Martha Stewart as their idol, this person that they live up to, that they want to cook like, and throw their weddings like Martha Stewart, and build houses like Martha Stewart, and now Martha Stewart's behind bars, and so they don't want to be involved with somebody behind bars. That's a huge image factor that really hurt MSO. That's what we'll be reviewing over the next few slides as well. Sociocultural. The sociocultural factor, Martha Stewart really built this trend, if you want to review it like that. She created this trend of throwing these lavish luxury weddings, at somewhat of affordable price, not necessarily for middle class, but maybe upper middle class and upper class. With people had that disposable income, they could throw these weddings. That's when she released this book in 1987, just titled Weddings, and that's what kind of initiated that trend for people to want to get out there and have these bigger weddings. And right after that, she followed it up with Martha Stewart Living, and that was her flagship. That was her flagship magazine. That was her flagship television show, simply titled Martha Stewart Living. So there's her name right in there, baked right into the name. So that's what really got it started. And so you can see that's the impact she had on society, and that cultural impact was, with her releasing that first book, and then her magazine and television show, which focused a lot on cooking, little house projects around the house, that lifestyle that many women sought to achieve. Global analysis, external impacts. As far as global, Martha Stewart's status was not particularly prestigious. while she was still under Time Incorporated. So before 1997, before she created or founded, I should say, before she founded MSO, she really wasn't that recognizable internationally. However, when MSO was founded in 1997, they went to an open, they opened up their company for trading of outsiders. That's when investors started to take a look. Was there in 1997? Beforehand, not that interested, but oh, hey, now this lady over here is making a lot of money on this product, on her product line, on her magazines, all sorts of different things. That's when the international investor starts to take a look to see how they can invest and make a name for themselves there with MSO as well. Okay, so Porter's 5 forces evaluation. I'm going to start here in the middle where it says current rivalry. So current rivalry for MSO, there's 2 main competitors out there, which are Meredith Incorporated and Time Incorporated. To face off against these competitors, MSO, Martha Stewart, Omni Media needs to focus on 2 facts here. One, that they have somewhat of a loyal fan base, so they need to retain those fans and those buyers, those customers. But at the same time, the world is changing. They don't have the only impact on the cultural lifestyle that they are achieving and trending with. So they need to attract a broader audience as well. So retain those existing audience and then broaden out to a wider audience as well, which is not an easy task to do, but that's what we're going to look at here. I'll start at the top and just go clockwise from there. So new entrance threat. So in order for new entrants to enter into this industry, it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. There's a lot of resources and capital needed to create some type of media outlet. On top of that, the government holds regulations and policies. Not just anybody can go out there and make a TV show about anything they want. There are certain regulations, policies that these industry leaders must adhere to. And then, of course, if there was a new entrant, there are already strong competitors kind of cemented themselves into this industry. So if anybody starts to emerge as a new threat, these competitors have the resources and the capabilities to deal with them accordingly. So moving over to buyer power, there's a lot of consumers in this industry, a lot of consumers, and especially in their target market of women, middle-aged women, and then moving to younger women as well. And on top of that, the MSO offers a wide variety of products, right? They have their website, they have their cooking shows, they have their cookbooks, they have their magazines, cookware, physical products as well, cleaning solution. I mean, they have all sorts of different things. So with that wide variety of products, they're able to reach a wider audience. So that's good for MSO, of course. However, a lot of those buyers out there in this target market, they're loyal to a certain brand. Some of them might be loyal to Martha Stewart. Some of them might be loyal to Rachel Ray. Some of them might be loyal to, all these other famous cooks and chefs that are out there in this lifestyle and trend. However, with that said, the Martha Stewart brand, it's still strong. It's still strong despite what happened with her indictment and lying about her insider trading. Martha Stewart is still a household name. A lot of people still know who Martha Stewart is. So with that said, the buyer power is there, but a lot of them will still be loyal to Martha Stewart. Moving now to substitute products, MSO, they offer, like we said, they offer a wide variety of products, and in each one of those outlets, whether it's their website or their cookbooks or the magazines, each one of those can be substituted for somebody else or something else, I should say. So if somebody wants to go out and buy a cookbook, maybe they have the intention to go to Barnes & Noble and find that Martha Stewart cookbook, but then they see 4 or 5 other different cookbooks, and maybe those other ones are cheaper and they have type of food that they're looking for, right? So the substitution value there is strong. The consumer can substitute the brand, the product for another very easily. And then supplier power. So again, the wide variety of products offered by MSO, that puts them in a position to acquire a vast amount of supplies. Maybe if they're struggling in one area, they can increase the supplies there by offsetting the revenue from a different outlet as well. So they have the power to do that, the leverage, I should say. And there's a lot of different suppliers in this industry. Publishers for their books. They can publish their websites, find authors, and all sorts of the right resources there. And the high number of suppliers ensures bargaining power for the suppliers as well. So they do have some bargaining power, but at the same time, MSO is able to kind of leverage themselves in a position to compete accordingly. Okay, situation analysis internal. So these are the strengths and weaknesses that are critical to the strategy of the business. So they're critical to the strategy that MSO is trying to implement. So their strengths are they have a high appeal to the target audience, they have strong brand recognition, and they have experience in their product offerings. So like the high appeal to the target audience, we've discussed this, but they're appealing to that audience of middle-aged women, younger women who are looking for that lifestyle. Martha Stewart is still appealing there. Then brand recognition, that's going to be strong. That's going to be strong for a very long time. Martha Stewart's a household name. That indictment that occurred that possibly made her name even stronger because it's that word of mouth, right? Gets out. Weaknesses, the business image tied to one person, CEO compensation out of line with revenues, and then of course that indictment of Martha Stewart. So the business image tied to one person, how we said, all that needed to happen was Martha Stewart to make a mistake somewhere, and the business would hurt as a result of that. Of course, that's what happened with her indictment. That indictment led to the falling of MSO, led to their falling of profits and a decline in what they were seeing as far as revenue. And on top of that, the CEO compensation is out of line with their revenues. So Martha Stewart, here she is being indicted, not doing what she needs to be doing as the right CEO, and she's still being compensated very, very well. We're talking $2-3 million a year on top of hundreds of thousands of dollars to pay for her lifestyle. And I'm talking things like $70,000 a year to pay for her weekend driver, $50,000 to pay for her personal trainer. And all of this is being covered by MSO because she is that spokesperson, right? She is a lifestyle of this business. So according to her, these are expensable items on top of her $1 million, $2 million, $3 million salary. So that is an internal weakness as well. SWOT analysis. So here we'll take a look at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and we'll analyze each of these. So a very strong strength of MSO, and this is something that they have excelled in pretty amazingly, is the synergy of all their products. So they, like we said, they offer a website, they offer a magazine, they offer a television show. What this does though, they synergize each one so that the advertising and sales and subscriptions of their magazine will help pay for the revenue and resources of their website, which might help to pay for the advertising of the television show. And then that television show advertising might help to pay for the magazine. So it's this nice circle that they have going, this nice synergy that is a very strong strength because of this success that they've built with those three pillars within their organization. So weaknesses they have, well, of course, that public image that they have, that was smudged. It was hurt. The advertising and sales of the company took a drastic hit. We talked about the 62% revenue of their publishing. Well, there's a 63% drop in ad pages of their magazines. So when Martha Stewart got indicted, advertisers didn't really want to be in the magazine of somebody who's getting indicted, so they all jumped ship, right? They didn't want to be in that magazine. So they lost 63% of ad pages there. When Martha Stewart got indicted, the CEO of the company, in order to cut costs, had to lay off, I shouldn't say lay off, they had to cut 60% of their product offerings. So they had a wide variety of different products, and we're talking cookware, silverware, pots and pans, cleaning solutions, soap, all sorts of different things. So at that point, in order to cut down on the costs, the CEO jumped in and said, hey, we took a huge hit here. Let's cut out some of these products that don't necessarily do us as much good as some of what the 40% that we will retain. MSO's net income plunged a huge 67%. So it took a 2/3 drop there of what they were making, and so that would pretty much almost cripple any other company out there. Opportunities. So in order to become successful or strive for success after a huge issue like the indictment, they need to distance themselves away from Martha Stewart. So what happened when Martha Stewart got indicted? They said, all right, let's launch some new products that don't necessarily have Martha Stewart's name in it, right? So they launched Everyday Food, which was a magazine for younger customers. That was a target audience they had not yet really stuck with. So this is their attempt at doing that. And then a TV show with Mark Maron, who was a famous pet expert at the time. So they're bringing in these other celebrities, these other well-known individuals to help offset or to turn a blind eye, to what Martha Stewart's going through. And then, of course, the threats that are coming in. The competitor magazine sales, they rose sharply when Martha Stewart got indicted. Because maybe somebody was subscribed to Martha Stewart Living magazine. Martha Stewart got indicted. Yeah, I don't want anything to do with magazine anymore. I'm going to go over here to Better Home and Garden instead, right? So let me get on this magazine over here. So you can see how those sales would rise pretty sharply. Image of company spokesperson constantly discussed and reviewed. So from 2004 onward, after she got indicted, analysts, financial analysts, article editorials are going to be reviewing what Martha Stewart's been up to and if what she's doing is in line with the betterment of her company. So she's constantly being looked at and reviewed. So that could be a potential threat, because if Martha Stewart, does mess up again, if she does some type of mistake again, that could really hamper the progress of what they've done so far. Resources and capabilities. So the resources here, they have a wide product line. They offer all sorts of different products, very strong brand recognition, and then low costs. The low costs are relatively low compared to some of the other offers out there. They could still be lower, and that's what we'll talk about here in a minute. Capabilities. So promotion of brand name for target audience. They want to promote that brand name for the audience that they're seeking. So Martha Stewart becomes a household name again. Generate revenue from consistency among products. So how we talked about that synergy, they want to keep that up. They want to keep generating that revenue based on the consistency of how well their products and the other products in their product line are doing. And then increase evaluation of organization to increase share prices. So again, they want to make sure their organization is being evaluated fairly, and they want to increase that appeal of MSO so that those share prices do go up, accordingly. Okay, so strategy formulation. These are 3 strategies that MSO could use to become successful from this point on into the future. So let's take a look at this first one, cooperative strategy. This is where they could collaborate with a new retailer to place their physical products in the store in front of that consumer. They've had experience with retailers, with Kmart, with JCPenney, and with Macy's. So if this is their opportunity to go out there and say, hey, who is that new popular retailer out there? Who can we align our product with so that that consumer in that retailer, inside the retailer, the brick and mortar store, can see our product, pick it up, review it, and say, this is what we want. So that's where they could collaborate with that retailer to synergize their product with that popular retailer. Differentiation strategy. So create an outstanding value for the customer through product innovation. So this is a strategy where a business can create this product that might be relatively expensive, but the value behind it is what the patient or what the consumer is paying for. Something like an iPhone, the iPhone 10, right? That came out a year ago and it was $1,000. $1,000 for a cell phone. I could easily go out and buy a $50 cell phone, but somebody who's looking for that iPhone 10 is going to want to buy that because of the features and innovation behind that iPhone 10. So MSO could do something similarly if they were to come up with a product or product line that is so innovative that they can offset the price that people might be willing to pay. And then focus strategy. This is where they resort to just focusing on that niche audience. So right now they've kind of been looking at all around, right? They're looking at middle-aged women, older women, younger women. That's their audience. That's who they want to attract. So maybe they would just want to say, you know what, let's go back to our roots. What did Martha Stewart start off with? Was middle-aged women. That's what we want to go back to. That's our niche audience. We don't want to focus on younger women. We don't want to focus on the older women anymore either. Just that niche audience. And that's the focus strategy, is where they're just focusing on that particular audience within their market. Okay. So those three weren't necessarily what I would suggest for MSO to be successful. What I would suggest is what we refer to as cost leadership strategy. This is the process where you can outperform the competition by generating the products at the lowest cost possible for the consumer. So Martha Stewart, she were to take her business and say, you know what, maybe the cost of our products are a little high. We're not really appealing to that audience that we used to. So we need to kind of lower the cost. We want to be that cost leader for our different products. If we go back to the cookbook example that we referred to earlier, we say, hey, this lady's going to go into Barnes & Noble. She wants to buy a Martha Stewart cookbook. She picks it up at the bookstore. She says, hey, you know what? It's $10. This is great. This is what I want. She looks at the bookshelf just to kind of review what else is out there. She sees some of the other offerings of Rachel Ray and Emery, and these are $20, $25 books. She doesn't want to spend that much money, right? So she went in for that $10 Martha Stewart cookbook. That's what she's going to get. That's where Martha Stewart MSO on the media can become successful, is aligning their brand image and their products with that lower cost. Strategic alternative implementation. So this is where we'll take a look at the actual implementation of cost leadership strategy. And there's four segments that we need to focus on here. The first being structural changes. This is where for the whole business, they're going to need to reposition their product line to sell at lower cost. So they need to realign it with their brand image. Leadership changes. Majority of the board members are going to need to get on board with this, right? So they're going to need to agree to this shift of the business plan. And of course, retaining those experienced board members, executives, and directors who's been with the business, been with MSO, will not only pay dividends as far as putting their experience to work to make sure this process works out, but also it's a good image for the shareholder so that they see, hey, maybe they are shifting their business plan, but they're keeping their leaders. The leaders are on board. That's a good sign. And then control. leading the company into a more affordable branding will further distance itself from the legal issues that are still shadowing. So again, any type of move that they can make to further distance themselves from that indictment that happened, back in 2004, the more moves that they can make, the more chess moves that they can make to reposition their place on that chessboard, the better, right? They don't want to be that company with the CEO that got indicted. They want to be that company that has the low cost, that has the products that these audience members are looking for. And then incentives, moving more products at the new price point will increase product awareness. And of course, that's just moving more products out there in the retailers and online produces word of mouth advertising, and it makes just the whole awareness of their products better. It's going to and you go into the retailer, you're going to see these products at lower cost, make more people aware, more people are going to be talking about it, and that's free advertising for them, right? So again, cost leadership strategy, I believe that is the ultimate strategy for MSO to implement. I believe that will make them successful if they were to choose to tackle their challenges doing so. So again, thank you for your time. My name is Adriel, and thanks again.